Welcome to the ManTFup podcast. I'm KimmyB.
And I'm Lenny.
Yes, you are. Listen, we have already been having a whole lot of fun here in the ManTFup Man Cave. So I say, Len, we get right into it. But before we do, actually, let me remind everybody, please like, subscribe, follow, and share the podcast, the YouTube channel, all of our social media. It's all at ManTFup TV. And I'm stealing your line today. If you would like to send us a topic, if you'd like to comment on any of our episodes, you can email me at KimmyB@ManTFUpTV. I stole that from Lenny just because
.com, by the way.
He's been an absolute pain in my ass.
Sorry about that.
For the past hour already. So listen, Len, we decided that we were going to do a rebuttal episode. Basically, we get a lot of comments on our TikTok, again, at ManTFUpTV, and a recent convo that we had regarding, the Kim Kardashian Nobody Wants to Work remarks podcast seemed to touch a nerve. And
with the TikTok audience.
Yeah, with
definitely.
The TikTok audience, for sure. And it happened when I mentioned internships and how I felt that, folks who wanted to be paid to be taught how to do something were entitled. And I shared a story about a friend of mine who had been dragged. She's a very big, she's in the sports broadcasting world. And it's funny because somebody actually commented on her TikTok, well, now you just inherited the dragging. I was like, and I'm here for it. I said what I said, and I would say it again. When I was discussing internships, Len, I was talking about my personal experience in radio and how basically I had paid the University of Miami $200,000 for an education that had nothing to do with broadcast journalism. And then I ended up getting an internship at a radio station. So I knew nothing. I had never sat in a radio studio. I had never been on a microphone. I had never seen a board, nothing. So when I went in there, they literally taught me everything from, soup to nuts, from the ground up, all of it. They took the time, they invested those resources in me, and it was the best 6 months of free labor. It was the best investment in myself I ever could have made because it turned into an now 18-year career doing what I love. The experiences that I've had have been, once in a lifetime experiences. Like most of the people you follow on TikTok, I've interviewed, you know what I mean? Or the celebrities that got you on TikTok because you want to do dances to their songs, I've talked to. I've been at the Grammys, and I've been at the AMAs, and I've been at the Billboard Awards, and I've, done grand openings of new Disney parks. And I mean, the list goes on and on. I've had an incredible run with this career, and it all started with me volunteering, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, interning underneath an afternoon personality. And I took the time to respond because there's a few hundred comments. 99% of them are people dragging me. And I got a little frustrated, not with being dragged. Like we say it all the time, drag us. We're here for it.
Have fun with it.
It leads to great conversation. But Len, I'm scared. Like I'm scared for these people because of course I started clicking on profiles and they're all, for the most part, young. Sorry, you are. Many of which look like they're probably still in high school, freshmen in college, so they're just starting to kind of get their feet wet, just starting to maybe decide what direction they want to take their life in.
Sorry, could you say that again? My apologies.
No, you nosy bitch. Oh my God.
I think, it's again, we've gone over the generational thing, and it's ridiculous, the entitlement that the kids nowadays
That's the
feel.
word. They don't like that word.
Yeah, you're entitled.
They don't like it.
Yeah, bullshit. But it's all right. You're a kid. You go through high school. You're going to college. You're paying for your college. College is not just for the education. It's for the commitment to completing something, which a lot of people in the work, a lot of bosses and companies, they want you to go to college to show that you can make the effort and complete something.
Yeah.
That's, it's not teaching you, just like you just said, how to run a board in a studio.
Yeah.
It's not teaching you, how to program something according to this company's way. It's not teaching you the actual job.
Yeah.
It's teaching you, it's giving you the framework. It's giving you the vocabulary to get into the job, but it's not giving you that job. So the internship, which we have, at the pharmacy, we have interns right now. They're actually in a program. They're at school, and the school sends them for an unpaid internship.
Okay. I was just about to, because I was going to ask. Is
No,
it
it's not paid. It's not paid. And these girls will work for 3 months unpaid because that's the field they're going into.
Yeah.
And that's how they're learning to do it.
But here's the deal. And I said it in that particular episode. I'm not mad at anybody wanting to get paid. And I understand that being able to commit to a free or to an unpaid internship is a privilege for some people, right? If you have a family that can help support you. But guess what? You're assuming that because I did a free internship that I was supported, that I didn't do anything else. That is not the case. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. Like, sometimes you have to weigh the pros and the cons, and you have to look at something and go, what am I going to get out of this experience? And to me, and this is something I have a problem with some businesses, because I think businesses have changed the dynamic of what an internship is supposed to, or what an internship once was. Like, for me, I interned under a major radio personality in a very big market, right? Like, I could have come in and gotten paid to be on promo team, and I would have literally been in a stock room, lugging stuff around, throwing shit in the back of a van, setting up remotes, helping set up concerts or events. I wouldn't have been learning from a person who had spent 20 years mastering their craft. Like, to me, an internship is supposed to be the opportunity to shadow somebody who has like an invaluable type of knowledge or skill set, somebody who's going to take the time to inspire you. Like, if I was going to intern for ManTFup, I'd want to intern under you, Len. Like, I'd want to be, in the truck with you while you're having business meetings. I'd want to be here on Tuesdays when you guys have, your big overall, what do you call that?
Team meeting?
Your team meeting. But I mean,
In-person
but it's
meeting.
logistics. It's, it's strategic. You're talking with the folks from Google, you're going over analytics. Like, those are all invaluable experiences, especially if you're an entrepreneur. So if you're in the school of business and you get an opportunity to intern with an entrepreneur, right? They should be, there's a certain commitment that it's got to come from the person that you're interning under to really take you under their wing and give you that next level insight into what you're really trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, listen, a paid position working in the field that you want to go into means you start as the receptionist.
Yes.
Or the mail boy or anything else.
Entry level.
If you're willing to give up your time to these people, they're going to start you up here. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's the difference. That's the difference. You want to, no problem. You want a paid internship? There's the garbage. Take it to the dumpster.
So you realize I've had this conversation now, and I'm so glad that you said that, Len, especially because, again, in that initial episode, we talked about everybody wanting to be the boss and people, kind of like, they're like basically business Monday quarterbacks, that's saying how everybody could have coached the team better than the actual coach, on Monday morning. So I feel like we have the same thing in business. You have the same thing in any industry. And I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because I was at a dinner. I was at a media dinner at a really nice restaurant, like in downtown Miami, and I was sitting there with a woman who owns a PR company, and I brought this conversation up because I had just actually started to see the comments. And I was telling her, I was like, I'm getting dragged for this. And she's like, well, we have paid interns. She said, I feel like if you can pay people, you should pay them. And I said, completely agree. I said, but are your interns working for you? Like, are they at events doing social media? Are they, again, because that to me is now real life experience. Like, you're doing something, different there. She was like, yeah. And then they're also, pushing paper, and they're also getting coffee if it's stuff around the office, like they might be doing some of the quote unquote grunt work. But yes, they do get to come to events with us, and they do get to get some real boots on the ground experience. But for me, again, when I go back to to what my internship was and what I always thought internships should be, it's one of those things where it's like, my experience, you couldn't pay for that. Like, there's no amount of money. And again, I wouldn't have gotten that experience if I had come in and said, fuck you, pay me. They would have said, cool. And then on top of that, what would I have made at that time? Maybe $8 an hour?
Yeah, whatever.
$8 an hour, again, to be in promotions, nothing wrong with that, or to be helping the receptionist, or to be doing whatever, but not in a studio, learning a craft, being a part of interviews, helping to learn how to show prep, all of these things. So it's one of, I don't know. It's that entry level thing that bothers me though, because I feel like a lot of businesses started going, we have this free help laying around, and so I kind of blame management. I blame business owners for changing the dynamic or the trajectory of what an internship was supposed to be. Because if it turned into hey, entry level, you're doing entry level work for no pay, well, that's different, because you would be paying somebody if I wasn't here. You would be paying a mail guy to deliver mail.
Of course. Yeah, and that's true. You shouldn't exploit your interns to do menial jobs. If you're gonna bring an intern in, teach them what they're there to learn.
Yeah.
That's, but doctors go through internships. Dentists go through internships. The pharmacy techs go through internships. A lot of those internships are during their college.
Yes.
So.
Well, no, because they get paid for residency. Because I Googled all of this.
Yeah.
Because somebody was like, "Oh, that's like asking a doctor." I was like, "No, first of all, they're doctors. You asshole. Pay the person who's about to operate on you, please." You know what I'm saying? Now, as a radio personality, though, not so much. And I kept trying to drill into people's heads. Like, do you not understand that 6 months of quote unquote free labor turned into a career, a 6-figure career at that, to talk? You will never tell me that wasn't the best investment. But these people are literally like, I hope this is satire. Somebody says it's not a sense of entitlement to be compensated for your labor. And I'm like, my labor, I wasn't going into my internship and bringing any value to the table. I wasn't doing an air shift. I wasn't, in fact, there was no upside. All I could do was fuck up. Like, literally, because I knew nothing about, dead air, get on the mic and say something crazy. Like, everything was a risk, you know what I'm saying, on their part. And they were willing to take that because somebody saw something, in me. So if it's entry-level work, I get that, right? Like, if it's something that you'd be paying somebody else to do.
Yeah.
But that's not what an internship is supposed to be. And if you're just doing it I don't even know what value. To me, that's a true waste of your time. To call that an internship and all you did was sit at a desk and answer phones, and you're in an advertising agency, and to say that was an advertising internship, no, it wasn't.
That's clocking volunteer hours.
Facts. Like, why don't you actively pursue a better opportunity? And if that means you also have to hold down another job, like, that's where the disconnect is between me and all the people in these comments, is that they think that there's something wrong with sacrificing for the long term, right? And to me, that's just how I looked at it. Like, I didn't care if I had to bartend. I didn't care if I had to work in a retail store and do my internship for free. Like, that was a sacrifice I was willing to make in order to make my dreams come true. And now it's one of these things where they're like, literally, like, when I say dragged, if a company can't afford to pay, don't have interns. If you're just learning and not making an impact, then pay is up for discussion. That was actually one of the better ones. Bad take. Please tell me this is satire. If they're not doing it to be compensated, the internship should look more like an apprenticeship. And that's even something different.
Yes, totally different.
Right? No, because an internship isn't just a class where you sit down and learn. You're actually working and learning. You need to be compensated. Again, I don't understand. Do you understand? Like, I don't understand how that makes sense. Like, and then they started using the whole, if they can pay you at McDonald's to learn how to flip burgers, they can certainly pay you in an office. And I'm like, they're selling all of those burgers. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, and that's a job.
It's a job. It's not an internship. It's not a
job. Like, and they think that they're one and the same, and they are not. They have two different definitions, guys. Like, I hate to be an ass like that.
On-the-job training means you're working, getting paid, getting trained.
Like, you're not under contract when you're an intern. There's no obligation. And by the way, it is still legal under certain circumstances to have unpaid internships, especially if there's an exchange for course credits or whatever. Now, if we're upset because we already have to pay the school, right, and then you're not getting paid for the internship, that's a very different conversation. But Len, what scares me about this is the whole, like, it's not fair narrative that I kept seeing in these comments. Like, and then somebody said, honestly, if a company's still offering unpaid internships in this day and age, then it's a red flag. And then, yeah. And there's some, because then I Googled, like I told you, I went to Google.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any interns at the station?
No, not anymore.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know why? Because we have to pay them.
because of company
the class
policy.
action lawsuit. That's to me.
So
this hurt
stupid.
people, and that's the
Yes.
problem. And I tried to say that in those comments. When I started, I was probably the last kind of wave of interns, especially in big radio or big communications companies, because there was a massive class action lawsuit because some folks felt that they were being exploited. They were doing a lot of, again, entry level secretarial paper pushing work that they would have normally been paying somebody else, and they were not being compensated. So they took it to court and they won. And so these companies said, cool, if we have to pay people to do it, guess what? We're going to pay people with experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that foot in the door, and this is what people don't understand. Like I look at my building right now, right? So I work with iHeartMedia, and the president and like the CFO, like the two biggest people in the company, have moved to Miami. They're in the building. They listen to the radio stations. And I've said one of the greatest assets since changing from my old company to my new company is the fact that because there's so few people in the building, because everybody's still quote unquote working from home,
Mm-hmm.
you have almost unlimited access to these very important people who make very big decisions for this company, right?
Yep.
And all I can think is kids are missing out on such an incredible opportunity, right? Just having your face, being recognized, being able to step up to the plate. Because to your point, you said it a few minutes ago, Len, if I have to pay you, you don't get any credit for going above and beyond. You understand what I'm saying? If I've got to pay you to do it now, I expect you to get it done. There's no more, oh, wow, that great job. I'm not looking to see the person that's going to rise, the cream that's going to rise to the top. Now I'm paying you to do it, get it done, right?
Absolutely.
And then are you with the attitude?
And it makes it much harder to climb that ladder because you came in here as our receptionist, and I understand you want to be a DJ, but you're the receptionist, and you can't go hang out in the studio till you're done doing your receptionist shit.
Well, no, and even
You're welcome to stay after work and go hang out in the studio.
But like I said, and again, the thing that scares me, though, is when I see the narrative that's being spun in the comments, Len, I don't think any of these people, or I don't want to say any of them, but I don't see the initiative to go above and beyond unless they're getting compensated for it. Like that's what it feels like as I read these comments, and you're the sucker. Oh, you want to work extra. You want to work overtime. Are they paying you for that? Then go home. And it's like, to me, again, I don't want burnout. It's not about burnout culture, because somebody hit me with that shit too. And I was just like, okay, cool, whatever. But it's like, when you love what you do, you're always sorry, Nestor, like bang on. You always aspire to do more. It's like, give me the next challenge, because as you're being challenged, you're growing, right? And then when you reach that level, now there's always another level to aspire to. So if you have the mentality of, I'm not doing anything beyond what you're paying me to do, I don't know how you ever get the opportunity to wow somebody, right? And all we're doing then is kind of reinstilling or resolidifying the quote unquote patriarchy. Because at that point, now I'm going to continue to, promote from within the people that I know have a hustle, that I know whatever, because nobody here is wowing me because, well, they're not getting paid to wow me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I hope that you guys understand this. I'm not trying to drag a generation. I'm just saying, as I'm looking at the comments and where it seems they're coming from, I'm afraid for our workforce. I'm afraid for the future of capitalism and entrepreneurship. Like, it's scary.
As a business owner, and I know a lot of other business owners, we would rather have someone who is willing than someone who is able.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can go get your college degree and you can say, oh, I'm not going to do a paid internship. I'm not going to do an unpaid internship, whatever. I'm going to go start at the bottom. That's not willing. That's able.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got a degree in broadcasting? No problem.
Mm-hmm.
Great. There's the mail. Take it around to the offices. Have fun. You're willing to come in and hustle and make the effort, you're going to climb to the top automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can teach you everything else.
And that's basically what I was told. Because, by the way, on top of it, I would have paid somebody to teach me how to do it, right? Like, I graduated from UM, but I still would have needed somebody to teach me how to operate the mechanics of the board, right? That technical component I still needed to learn somewhere. So I would have paid it to a CSB or a Miami Media School, another $10,000 or $15,000, the Art Institute, who knows, right? So literally, not only did they gift me a $15,000, certificate, but on top of that, I made, again, incredible relationships. And I could have easily taken that and gone across the street. So they were taking a chance on me too, because they could have invested all of that time in teaching me this. And I could have up and gone across the street to their competitor, right? And taken that knowledge with me. And I get that there are some people out here, because people want to talk, oh, there's plenty of paid internships. Somebody said, oh, I have a tax internship. It pays me $30 an hour. I don't know what that looks like. But again, back to my friend who has the PR company, her son, one of her sons is an engineer. He has always had paid internships. But even she said, but that's because their internships are more like trial runs. They're trying to see if you're a good fit for the company, if you're a good fit.
A 90-day internship means, a 90-day paid internship means we could cut your shit loose if we don't want you. Without any, you're not in the HR circle yet. You're not in the insurance circle yet. You're not an employee yet. That's, again, kids don't understand. They see one word, internship, but there's multiple levels to it.
And let's talk about that too, because do you know what it took that man to get into engineering school? Do you know what it took him to be? That's just looking at me like, yes, I do. Because he understands that. Like, you're talking about, and again, not a knock to anybody that was in our comments, but the creme de la creme. Like, this is busting your ass. The level of work you have to put in school, in your classes, to impress your professors so that they will recommend you for these very limited opportunities. You know what I'm saying? To then get this trial run. They're not trying to invest that 90 days in you without it working out. They're hoping you're a fit, right? That's really why they're making that initial investment. Google, I know a lot of the other big tech companies, $9,000 a month they're paying some of their interns. But let's talk about who's getting that internship.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about who's competing. You're talking about the top 1% from the top 1% of schools, and maybe there's 10 of those internships?
Yes. That's like an NFL player.
Yeah,
That's the level.
Getting the opportunity to intern.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're going to sign you to the practice squad. That's, and again, I'm not knocking anybody's dream, but understand the level of work. Nobody's going to pay you. Nobody's paying you. You might get a scholarship, right? But nobody's going to pay you to put in the kind of work you have to put in order to get that opportunity. And that's where I become fearful. When I see these comments, it's like, you don't get there without making sacrifice. You don't get that $9,000 a month internship with Google or with Uber or with Canva or whatever.
You've already got a 4-year degree of work.
And you've put in
hard work.
You've sacrificed. You've sacrificed your dating life. You've sacrificed making money. You've sacrificed your social life. You've sacrificed all of it. But my question is this. Do you think that there's a way, maybe we should start the internship process earlier? Like, maybe it should be a high school thing. Maybe we should offer it to high school students that are thinking about engineering. Maybe we should start getting those wheels turning earlier on.
That's definite, and it's a shame that probably a lot of the public schools don't have that ability to teach those things. Although I know kids that are in MIT that they went to robotics. They did all they're that's very difficult. Those are very focused and goal-oriented kids that know what they want to do. And I don't think that's a big percentage of our kids today.
But I think that's why it's important to give them those opportunities to try different things in high school, because who knows, you might help trigger something in somebody's brain or in their soul, in their spirit, where all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, now I know what I want to do. But if you're never exposed to it, and I just say, I think that high school kids might be a little bit more willing to do some stuff for free than clearly these college kids who are already in their fields because they're, accruing student loan debt. I don't know. It just, again, reading these comments, my biggest fear was the people complaining, like, again, they have
they're complaining from a place of zero knowledge. not to say you kids are zero knowledge, but you don't have an idea yet of the reality of the world, because I would bet most of you are at home with your parents. You know, you go to high school, you have a ride, you have food. You know, you haven't had to do any of this stuff for yourself yet. So that they have no experience. Let's not say knowledge.
I was gonna say,
experience.
But hold on, though. But you're talking to, I think, the people that your children maybe relate to, because this is the thing. There are a lot of people on social media that will talk about the privilege, you know, that comes with knowing where your food is coming from, knowing that you are going to get back and forth to school, knowing that you will always have clean clothes, knowing that you're going to come home and the power is still going to be on. And there's a lot of people, Len, in this country that don't have that kind of security and consistency. And so for a lot of them, they're the ones that are yelling and screaming about, you know.
How'd they get the iPhone?
Okay.
You know, I'm just.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying.
That's annoying.
It's relative. It's relative.
It's not relative, because at the end of the day, I can save my money and I can go buy an iPhone. I can't control whether or not my parents pay the light bill.
No, I got you.
Do you understand what I'm saying? But you have kids that bust their ass and work their way through school. And so in order to work to pay for college, and then also to have to work another second job in order to make up for the time that you're giving to an internship. I understand that argument, right? That being able to work for free and still have food on the table and still have clothes on your back and still have the rent paid is a privilege. I get that argument. But on the flip side of that, it's just one of those things where it's like sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and we need to be having the bigger conversation of, for those kids that are busting their ass, for those kids that are doing it all themselves, and there's a lot of them, how do we make sure that they get the opportunity to get the internship? Because I've heard those stories too, where you have paid internships that still go to the privileged, and these kids just put their little pennies paychecks in their desk and don't even cash them because they're trust fund babies or whatever.
It's the hustle. It's
also the connection, Lenny. Don't do that.
No, it's
absolutely. You got to know the people.
Listen. Yeah, you got to know the people, or you got to know how to get to the people.
But that's all taught.
See,
that's a learned skill, though.
It's a learned skill. Listen, these kids are sitting on YouTube and every other social media learning how to play video games. I guarantee you, if you went on YouTube and you looked up how to network, how to talk to people, how to talk to adults, how to put yourself in a position.
You can't learn how to do that, though.
You can.
On YouTube, and then expect somebody to be able to implement it in real life. That's a social skill. And we've talked at length about how kids are losing those.
Yes, but those social skills, if you go on, you know, you do the psychiatrist has you, or the therapist has you do an empty chair. Okay? An empty chair is you sit and have a conversation with yourself, and you switch chairs back and forth, and answer yourself. Okay? Any kid could do this. This is a real thing.
I believe you, but you learn that in therapy. Most of these kids don't have the opportunity to go see a therapist to teach them about empty
bet
chair.
You could find it on YouTube.
You have to know about it.
I get it. We're telling them right now.
Well, you are, and so thank you for that.
And listen, I would bet that every one of those 17-year-olds that
it really is a bunch of 17
has commented, if Billie Eilish said, I have an unpaid internship for someone to come
100%.
do my TikTok, every one of them would be there.
100%.
And they'd learn nothing.
Yeah. They'd have some really great.
They would be slaves.
Yeah. But that's one of, again, the frustrating things about this conversation. Like, I think about when we talk about leveling the playing field, internships could do that. And especially when I think about the entertainment industry, like, you know, we had a kid at my radio station who was a huge fan. And I will never forget one day he called, he won something and the phone disconnected. And when I called him back, he had his voicemail was the entire lineup to our radio station, like from the morning show all the way to the night show. And I remember being mind blown, and I was like, yo, y'all have to hear this. And mind you, I'm still an intern, and I'm just happen to be, you know, I was getting a winner's information. And the next time he came in, everybody remembered it, and they brought him upstairs, and he ended up interning at 50, like literally being in the building to the radio station he idolized, interning with us. He now is the social media producer for Ricky Smiley. Do you know what I mean? Now, fast forward 20 years later, it started because he was passionate about it, but with no internships. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that opportunity doesn't exist.
Yes, But you also just put it in perspective. You now have access to the CEO of your company.
Yeah.
Because he's in your building.
Yep.
You, no matter who you are, know how to get to that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I stopped and got some Cuban coffee. You want a cup?
Mm-hmm.
You're opening a dialogue.
Yep.
It's just talking to these people. I mean, if you truly know what you want to be when you grow up, if you grow up, because you don't ever have to grow up. I'm not growing up, so don't. But if you truly know, then start looking at ways to put yourself there. You know, I've talked to so many kids, and we've tried to have interns in here, and I pay, you know. I'll pay a kid $18 an hour to come work. They don't want to work. They don't. Listen, I need somebody to just do the social media. Well, what exactly is involved in the job? I'm going to pay you $18 an hour. You're going to hang out and do whatever we tell you. Mm-hmm. Oh, but, you know, do you have a better job description? Nope. On to the next one. You know, if you want to be involved in a business, you have to be willing to come into that business unconditionally and willing to do whatever it takes. And I mean, you know, we don't ask a lot here. Mm-hmm. You know, first of all, I'm hiring you to do social media. That doesn't mean, you know, you're not going to have to get a cup of coffee every once in a while, but this is what you do every day already. Mm-hmm. So you have somewhat of a skill set, and they don't want to do it. They want to know, oh, what is the exact job description? I don't understand that. When I wanted to do something, I went and I learned about it. And it's funny because my dad was he was in the operating engineers back
Guild or whatever.
Whatever. It's a union in Chicago. And they would like send him out to jobs, and he didn't know how to run the equipment. He would get to the job a half hour early, and he'd get in and he'd start fucking around with it, and before you know it,
great.
He could run the equipment.
Operating a crane.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's wonderful.
So
building skyscrapers.
But that's what you have to do as a kid if you want to get into something. If you want to, you know, and not only that, if you can't afford to work for free, fine. Get a job, work 40 hours, and then work the other 20 or 30 for free. But you have to pay your dues.
I just, like, Len.
Have to.
They don't want to. They don't want, like, I'm literally, like, I'm so blown by so many, like,
for every one of those, Kimmy.
No, but
there's
saying you need to pay me to learn, girl, we have to pay teachers thousands of dollars to teach us college. Your argument doesn't even make sense. That is like, like, I don't, exactly. So I should have been paying them. Like, based off of your argument, Juan Bautista, with 3 A's, because we clearly can't spell our own name. I'm just kidding. I realize that you needed a handle. But saying you need to pay me to learn, girl, we have to pay teachers thousands of dollars to teach us. That was exactly what I said. That's like me going to college and saying, you pay me to sit here and learn.
Yeah.
No, I pay you to teach me. That's like the same thing. So by your definition, I should have gone into the radio station and said, let me pay you to teach me how to do this. And instead, I got that education for free. Okay, I had to bartend. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it. Like, that to me, here's the thing, guys. And I hate to point this out. I don't know where, and I don't know if it's because they're raised by bitter, angry millennial parents. I don't know what happened because I'm a millennial. I'm at the top level. Like, I'm like the oldest millennial. But where did you get this idea that it's just supposed to all fall into place, right? Like, you're supposed to walk out of college and walk into your dream job, and they're going to pay you XYZ, and you're never going to have to stress about bills. And you're like, that is not the real fucking world. Like, anybody who is, Jeff Bezos would tell you, he was selling books out of his goddamn garage, guys. And now he's one of the 10 richest, he's the richest man in the world. Is he the richest man in the world?
He's close.
You know what I'm saying? You don't think that they might have struggled here and there? And I understand it's not like he came from squalor by any stretch of the imagination.
No, but he started something when it wasn't a big thing. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, we're talking about the 90s, you know, e-commerce wasn't really a big thing in the 90s.
But I mean, like, Grant Cardone will tell you about, you know, literally looking his wife in the face and being like, this might take a minute, but I've got to do it because I know what the
Absolutely.
end game is.
You got to stay the course. You got to stay the course. And yes,
But running around yelling about how things aren't fair and, like I said, entitlement, like, girl, get it together. Wanting to eat and whatever, that's entitled. How about the entitlement of jobs or companies, not wanting to pay their labor? Like, first of all, that is not, by definition, an internship. People, learn your definitions first and foremost. An internship is not a job. Like, those are two different things. Like, labor, job, yes, I understand wanting to be paid for those things. An internship, by definition, is an opportunity to gain experience by either getting paid or not sometimes,
in a selected field.
Yes, that's literally what the definition of an intern. It's supposed to be an experience, right? Like, you're supposed to walk away from it going, oh my God, one day I want to be that person. Right? Like, to me, internships were supposed to inspire you. I don't know when that changed, so I think that business is partially at fault for that. And I don't know if
it's been exploited, just like everything gets exploited, Kimmy. It's the nature of the beast. But as a kid, you got to understand, there's bad things in this world. There's bad people. There's people who are going to take advantage. There's companies that are going to take advantage.
But don't miss out on a great opportunity because because they're not paying you. Like, I need for the folks that are heading into college, for the folks that are going to be walking this path, for the folks that are in college right now, you have to weigh the pros and cons, right? Like, you have to think, is it worth this sacrifice right now for the long-term gain? Now, if you're walking into something and it's a throwaway, like that literally all you're going to be doing is, sending emails or like I said, getting coffee or whatever, then that's on you. If you want to make $10 or $12 or $15 an hour.
I just went through this with someone who wanted to, we've been looking for someone to do interviewing and stuff, and I've spoke to a couple girls, and this one girl's like, oh yeah, I'm interested. I'm like, look, I'll pay you to come. She goes to UM, as a matter of fact. She doesn't show up. Like, she said, I'm coming, doesn't show up. How far is it? And then she posts pictures of her at the pool, hanging out all day.
Priorities.
It's if you want to be in broadcasting and they don't have paid internships, call up your local DJ and say, hey, do you need a personal assistant?
Facts.
Do you need a personal assistant?
Facts.
Because I can have a personal assistant that has nothing to do with the company, and you can shadow me wherever I go because you're my personal assistant. Yeah. So if you want something,
that means you're backstage at Ultra. Yeah. That means you're in the biggest.
Whatever.
Yeah.
If you want something, you can get it. But you are the only person that's going to make it happen because no one is out there looking for you. You're out there looking to be here. You need to start somewhere.
Facts. It was funny that you said like entertainment broadcasting because one of the few comments that was on my side, I said, I interned for a film company. I don't know if you saw this one, for a year, for free. After that year was up, they paid me $10,000 a week for the next 10 years to be their casting director. So for a year, she took the big fat L. And it turned into, you do the math,
$500,000 a year.
You know what I'm saying?
$500,000 a year. Year two?
You know what I'm saying?
What'd you make year one? Fucking big goose egg. What'd you make year two? $500,000.
And she made that for the do you like? So again, hear the people out, weigh the pros and the cons, and don't be short-sighted over $15 a fucking hour. Do you know what I mean?
That's a case of
not
willing over able.
No, okay? I get it, Len, but the problem is this. We are learned creatures, and that's where I told you I get scared because what happens is they're on TikTok, and they're all just co-signing each other, right? So now you've got this big group of people telling you, you're right, it's not fair, fuck her, she's stupid, she should have gotten fucking paid, they got over. Bitch, I make a lot of money to talk. Like, I'm cool. Again, I said what I said. Best investment in myself I ever made was the 6 months of free labor I gave the man, or whatever you want to call it. But I saw the long game. I knew what it was. I knew the reputation of the radio station. I could see that these people were willing to invest in me, right? I know how to hustle a room, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I know how to network and make relationships. That's, I think, a gift that some people are just born with. And I took advantage of every single opportunity. Lenny, I left for a weekend. My homeboy was playing in the Shriners game in San Francisco. Sorry, I'm spitting. And I didn't tell the program director. In my mind, I'm just an intern, right? Mm-hmm. So I missed a Monday and a Tuesday. I flew back. He's like, I need to talk to you. And so I sat down and he was like, listen to me. He was like, we have plans for you. And he said, and when you're not here, your energy is missed. And, you know, you have to do the responsible thing. He's like, did a show not? No. He was like, but, you know, you have to let us know, you know. And it was a good lesson in responsibility and accountability, you know, because to me, I was like, oh, you know, I had one of those moments of entitlement. Like, you're not paying me. You know, I can take this little weekend trip and y'all will be okay. And it spoke to the bigger picture, right? Like, when people are willing to invest in you, don't take that for granted. And it may not be an investment in cash money right now, but that's not always the best play. And that is the thing that scares me, is everybody wants it right now. And you might bite your nose off to spite your face. You might miss out on the best opportunity because maybe it's the CEO that wants you to come in and shadow him for 3 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. And that CEO, whether it's in his company or in somebody else's, because CEOs know other CEOs, he's going to hook you up. And that's somebody you've got in your back pocket, bro. Like, forever. That's the thing that people aren't teaching people right now. You want to level the playing field? Go out there, shake hands, kiss babies, make relationships. And guess what? It has nothing to do with where you come from. Where you come from does not determine where you go in life. And that is, I think, the biggest takeaway from all of this. Y'all want to get caught up in Kim Kardashian talking about work harder and whatever. Fuck what she started with. Forget what she started with. What has she done with it, right? I understand you feel she had a leg up. She did. I'm not saying that she didn't, but she could have squandered it. She could have sat on it, and it could be the exact same thing she started with, right? And she might have been good with that, but she said, no, I want more. I'm going to go out and I'm going to get it. And then you have somebody who started with nothing, absolutely nothing, and goes on to become a titan of industry, who goes on to become a CEO, who goes on to shatter glass ceilings. Like, you cannot let what you start with determine how you will end up. But if you sit there yelling about what's not fair and what they had versus what I didn't have, you will stay stuck in the same place, and you will forever be on TikTok bitching at the girl who said she took a free internship.
Listen,
sorry.
It's if someone can make it here in this office for more than like 3 weeks, truthfully, if they can make it in this office for more than like 3 weeks, they might work for me for 20 years. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just that simple. I'm an asshole. You know, I don't necessarily direct it at people. You know, I'm just, that's just me. You know, if you can deal with my abrasive ass and my off color comments that I might make every once in a while, and, you know, whatever other innuendos we throw around this office as a male dominated office, if you can deal with that and stay here, you might have a position going forward.
But you know what I love about... Okay, go ahead, finish.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Don't cut me off.
Sir, I didn't...
My point is...
You sounded pretty done, but go ahead.
I'll let you know when I'm done. The point is...
Yeah.
Every one of you out there in this world, okay, I guarantee you, there is someone in your life that can move you up the ladder rather than down the ladder. So when you start looking around at your circle of friends or your neighborhood or whatever it is, there's someone who can put you in a better place that you can contact, okay? You might not be able to walk out and meet Jeff Bezos, or you might not have the opportunities, but I guarantee you in your neighborhood there's a small business owner. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you that small business owner, you could go in there and go, hey, how'd you do this? And just pick their brain and move on. There's always somebody who can give you a leg up in life. Every person in this country has that opportunity, whether it be a teacher, a cop, whatever. If you talk to people that are in
Yep.
next level positions, they can move you up.
But I also challenge the people that are in those next level positions to go outside of their comfort zone and to engage the kid that wouldn't normally get the opportunity. Like, Lenny, don't hire
Absolutely.
all your friends' kids to be your interns or to work the booth at the ManTFup events. Go outside of that and give the kid who might really, really appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely.
The opportunity. And that's, I think, the challenge to the bigger picture, right? So I wanted just everybody to know on TikTok, because we say all the time, email us, comment. And when they do, we read them. Like, Lenny will comment back. I commented back a lot on this particular post because I clearly feel passionately about it. And I hear you. And I don't ever want anybody to sell themselves short. I don't want anybody to settle for less. But I also want you to understand that if you have a goal for yourself, anything worth having, you're going to have to work for.
Absolutely.
It's not just going to fall in your lap, even though it may appear on social media that that's how it works for other people, right? And even if it does, that might not be your path, right? So stop comparing yourself to how other people got where they're going and forge your own way, and just don't be short-sighted in your decisions. You may have to take less now in order to make more in the long run, right? And what sounds like an incredible opportunity right this second, step back from it. Right? And really analyze, okay, is this going to get me to where I'm trying to go, or is this going to derail? Because that happens a lot too. You have a dream for yourself, somebody comes along with a great opportunity, and the next thing you know, 15 years have passed, you're in this thing that you were never really passionate about, right? But it afforded you a nice life, but then your dream is out here and you're still resentful. Right? So again, you just have to keep everything in perspective. But I do challenge business owners. I do challenge entrepreneurs. I do challenge people in positions of power, to help level the playing field, because we still do have, I don't want to call it, we know we have injustice, but that's not what we're talking about right now. But we know that we do have people that are starting off further behind the 8 ball than others. Or there's people starting off, with a leg up. And it's on the people in power to really be conscious of that and to try to offer those opportunities to folks who may not always get them. And then on the flip side, to those of you that are making your way in the world right now, change the shit. If you don't like it, work your way up the ladder, get to be the boss, and then you change it from the top down. That's how things get better. You want to call me crazy, you want to call me a boomer, you want to call me old, like whatever you want to call me. You want to change this mentality, be the boss and change it. But you don't get to be the boss bitching and moaning and talking about how unfair it is on TikTok.
You will never be the boss doing that. That there's a meme that's, what the difference between a winner and a loser is, and the winner is, the person who tried one more time, and it's the truth. If you listen, I've had plenty of failures in my life, plenty. I'm still having them today. There's no doubt about it. Okay. Everything's not a win.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you don't get up and go again, you're never going to win.
Yeah.
You're never going to win until you try. You're never going to succeed until you try. And you're never going to succeed without the effort and the work. It's just that simple. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how silver-spooned you started. It doesn't matter. If you want to coast and you're a silver spoon, enjoy. But if you want to better yourself, if you want to have more, if you want to be a successful
person, pride in saying that.
Yeah, I did this.
Yeah.
You got to work.
The other thing too, and then we'll move on because I know there's one last thing that we need to touch on. But I'm trying to give it the most limited amount of time possible because I actually want to enjoy my night at the theater with Len. You talk about it all the time. In real life, when you are actually having human interaction, the person who's always bitching, nobody wants to be around.
Absolutely.
Right? It's different on social media because you find all the bitchers, right? So they literally gravitate towards one another, and then they all just co-sign the bitching. And that's what scares me because you had a time where it was like you might want to yell that it's unfair, but then somebody like Lenny, you'd be working with a Lenny, and Lenny'd be like, "Well, shut the fuck up!" Like, then change it.
Read the sign. Read the sign.
Oh yeah. ManTFup. Man.
It's,
Yeah.
it's
change it. Yeah.
You've taken this, in the past, it was telephone tough guys, and then keyboard warriors. And now you have gangs of keyboard warriors,
It's just sad because they're doing each other a disservice, because complaining about it on TikTok ain't gonna change anything.
No, I ain't gonna put food on the table.
And all it's doing is keeping you in this miserable cycle of frustration, as opposed to knowing that you have the power to change it, but you've got to go out and make it happen.
Yes.
Now, speaking of ManTFup, oh my God, I can't believe we're having this conversation again.
I think he did.
The slap heard round the world. We are going to briefly discuss what happened at the recent Academy Awards with Will Smith and Chris Rock. Staged or not, I guess the question here is, I don't even know if it's a question, but Lenny, you are Team Will with all of this, yeah?
Listen, I'm team bitch slap somebody if they need one. That's what I'm team.
Why?
And I'm also team not, listen, people have bad days. Even Will Smith. Even everybody has a bad day. There's a term going postal for a reason, and it's not.
That guy didn't have a
It's
bad
not
day.
that
He went
one
and shot of a post office.
It's not that one comment that they're upset about. It's everything leading up to that in their life. Okay?
No, he needed to man the fuck up and keep his happy ass in the chair. Chris Rock isn't the source of all of his frustration.
Stupid. It was
Chris
stupid.
Rock is not the source of all of his frustration. So you don't just get too. You know what manning up is? Manning up is learning how to control your emotions. Manning up is learning how to not be a petulant child. Manning up is being able to check your ego at the door and not embarrass yourself, your wife, your family.
Is the punching bag the cause of your frustration? No, but you beat it to death, okay? So something caused Will Smith, whether it be,
we know what it was.
Whether it be $20 million or he was just at that breaking point and Chris Rock set him off.
He was laughing. He was literally laughing when the Demi Moore, of all the things Chris Rock
and what happened?
Said
his wife looked at him.
Rolled her eyes.
Okay,
she was pissed.
So what does that tell you?
My man, she wasn't pissed at all the
you know what that tells me?
People have said about her over the last 3 years. Like, Len, I've followed this. She is
goes to women's rights.
She is the source of her own demise. Trust and believe me. You wanted to have your little red table. You wanted to do all of that talking. You want to, air your dirty laundry for the world to now judge. Like, you have set your man up for dragging. You have set yourself up for dragging. That poor little boy, August Alsina's name been just dragged all over the damn place. He's probably broken in two and missing his cougar pussy. I mean, it is what it is. Like, it's just, the whole situation is so ridiculous. And the fact that he would choose to lose his cool over that comment when Chris Rock could have come for so much more. Chris could have dropped the August bombs. He could have dropped the,
all the more reason to think it was a setup. All the more reason.
Nobody wins in this.
What is the most inopportune moment to do
Who
something
wins?
like that?
Why would this be staged, and who staged it?
Who knows? Who cares?
No, you brought it up. Like,
Listen.
Spin the
you have to
narrative.
look at all the options.
What are nobody won in this. Like, first of all, it's
Chris
the first
Rock
time.
won. His show's all sold out.
Yeah, I know.
He won.
But he's not talking about this.
Winner.
But he's not talking about this.
But he's a winner. He got bitch slapped on stage at the Academy Awards, and he won.
Hold on. Chris Rock is still Chris Rock. Let's not get it twisted.
He's
yes.
Pookie.
He's a lot of characters and things. Yes, Pookie being one of them. Oh my God! Of course, you take it back to the crackhead, Jack City.
Well, that's one of his most classic roles.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure he loves that. I'm sure now when he looks back on his whole career, he's like, "That's the one." That's the one.
Yeah.
But no, it was a historic night, and it's now been overshadowed by all of this foolishness. Like, Will Packer, first of all, that Oscars looked incredible. I love the new setup with, like, the lounge vibes, and, like, although I don't think they'll ever do that again. Although they did it at the Grammys, and it went off without a hitch. But, like, I loved the vibe. The show was going really well. It had the highest viewership that it's had in forever, and it's not because of that, because that slap didn't happen until, like, 11 o'clock at night. Let's be very clear. It didn't happen early on. The show was, in fact, closer to the end.
Did you hear the dad jokes about it?
Well, no, I heard the one about like too bad Chris didn't turn around and say if he gets that mad in March, imagine how mad he was in August.
Yeah, well, what does Chris Rock have on his face?
Oh yeah,
Fresh Prince.
Yeah, I definitely saw that meme. Many
That was
times.
so funny.
I mean,
Dad joke.
it's just sad at the end of such an illustrious. Or it's not the end. Will
Smith is not going anywhere.
No.
His box office sales are not going down.
Well, I mean,
if you don't
what's
go
a box
see a Will,
office?
if you
He's not making a Batman movie right now.
if
The only
you-
things winning in the box office, boo, are Marvel and DC shit.
if
Like,
you
let's be
don't
clear.
go see, well, he's also, it's one of his favorite characters is in Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad doesn't do the same numbers that like Batman and
It doesn't
Iron
matter.
Man and shit do.
Nobody is
And,
not
excuse me,
going to see a Will
Johnny
Smith movie.
Depp was replaced off of hearsay. Do you
And
know what
I
mean?
don't think, everybody's saying, oh, Will Smith took away from this, he took away
He
from
did.
that. I don't know.
Questlove one was lit. Like, how do you? Okay,
don't know.
so I'm whatever. But as a brother, it's disappointing that he would take the shine away from another Philly guy who we all love. Like Questlove has paid his dues. Like Tribe Called yeah. I mean, the Roots. Like, let's be clear. We love Questlove, and Summer of Soul was incredible, and he deserved his moment. And literally, nobody even like knew Chris. That was who Chris was going up there to give the award to. So now you've got a brother from Philly who takes the shine away from another brother from Philly. Like, it's just shitty all the way around. And then you've got Will Packer out here instead of getting accolades for producing one of the best Oscars in recent memory, he's answering the what happened with Will, and well, what happened after that, and did Chris want him kicked out, and what did Chris say, and now the entire narrative is about this stupid moment, that never should have happened, and shame on Jada, because I really want to know what she said to Will's pussy ass. I don't think he manned up. I think he's a bitch.
Maybe.
I think he's a bitch. I think he's afraid of his wife.
Women.
That's what I think. I think that was a bitch ass move. That was, as Diddy would say, the bitch assness is real. And Will, you are the bitch ass. So Lenny thinks he.
I think any one of them would probably bitch up to their wives.
I don't think they would have walked up and slapped another man over first of all, that's what comedians do, Len. I don't know how
I
you can,
get that.
You're a
I get-
hypocrite right now because
No,
you sit
I
on
get
the
it.
other side of this couch.
I'm not saying he was right. I'm just saying, and again, everybody focuses on what they want to focus on, okay? If it was real, it was because he snapped, okay, over some shit that he was carrying around with him.
We know
Not
what that
over
shit
that.
was. His wife is the reason why he's carrying it.
Okay,
She
so
put it
he's
all out
pussy
there.
whipped. I mean, listen, men are pussy whipped.
Well, no, and he's also a straight up narcissist. I think he's just tired of looking. I think he thought that was the masculine thing to do, and really it was just the big bitch thing to do, Will. Like, period. I'm sorry, and I know that none of these are going on TikTok because I'm swearing so much. But nah, I love him. He's the biggest.
I got
first
your
of all,
back, Will.
Let's be very clear. Will is like a cornball. Right? Like, I love him. I love him in the Bad Boys movies. We know he saved the world in Independence Day. He's an incredible actor. I will never take that away from him. Ali, Pursuit of Happiness. I mean,
all of them.
You could go. I mean,
Even his most recent one with.
oh, no. King Richard
yeah.
was incredible. No, he's an incredible, incredible actor. This was just so foolish and beneath him on so many levels. And for that to be the comment that sets you off, like, my man, you need some major time with a therapist by yourself, clearly, because
Maybe.
you are battling with some demons.
Yeah, we all do.
That I get that, but you don't all just go laying your.
Listen,
hands
there's
on
plenty of
people.
days I just want to slap a motherfucker.
But you don't.
Like
But you don't.
but I almost have.
But you don't.
I almost slapped some guy in fucking Home Depot when he said something to me.
But you didn't. And Will Smith did.
I didn't because my son was there.
Jeez. Guess what? Will's whole family was at the Oscars. You're not making your case.
But
buddy.
I mean, it wasn't like the guy was just being a Karen.
And Will was being a Karen. That's a comedian's job, is to make. That is what comedians do. It's
you're
what
right.
Chris Rock does. Like, had that just been some other douchebag actor
Which
up there,
again makes me feel like it was more of a setup. because
this level of fallout, trust me, they both would have already said it was a setup, guys. Relax. Chris was in on it. Like, you're not letting it get to this point where Will Smith has now resigned from the Academy. He may have to fork over his Oscar, which is the only one he's ever gotten. He's been nominated multiple times. I didn't even realize that. I thought he had won for Pursuit of Happiness, and he didn't. So this is his first Oscar that he's actually taken home. He may have to give it back. Netflix has pulled the plug on one of his movies. Like, nobody is setting this up. He's not winning. Yes, we're talking about him, but this is a guy who had one of the most stellar reputations in entertainment. Like, he probably could have run for office. Real
maybe
talk.
He's tired of being like dorky.
He might have. Well, I think he is. I told you. I think he's in his feelings. I
So
think his wife
he's trying to man
emasculated
up.
him with the. But instead he showed his ass. That was a bitch ass way to do it.
Listen, Will, give me a call. I'll send you a bottle of Man the Fuck Up. You'll be all good.
You know what? That might be the answer. That
There
might
you go.
be the answer. Listen, we could go on and on about this. Clearly, Lenny and I, we have difference of opinion on a lot of things, but not usually. We're on very different sides of this one, and Len's been waiting for this moment.
You know.
Len thinks he manned up. I think he's a bitch. It is what it is. And that, in a nutshell, is the ManTFup podcast. So, are we good? Yeah?
We're good.
All right. Listen, like, subscribe, follow, share. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We are on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We are on everywhere you can find podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Google, Buzzsprout,
Pornhub.
iHeart. Are we on Pornhub?
No.
Okay. I was going to say.
I just wanted to say porn.
Oh. And if you would like to leave a comment or you have a topic suggestion,
Email us at KimmyB at ManTFupTV.com.
yeah. And shout out to everybody in the comments on TikTok. I'm sure you'll have more for us after today's episode.
Absolutely. And we love you all.
Yes.
Now grow the fuck up.
Peace.
Peace.